Akali, paying respect to Karis and his opening Akali game of the split against EDG. The Jarvan, which is a Monki special, whether or not it is in flavor. And the last ban, Jace, just recognizing, hey guys, we've banned every other champion, and that one needs to make sure it does not escape the draft. But Yunara, one of the most powerful AD carries on the patch, thanks to that new ultimate ability haste empowered crit item on top of it as well.
Yeah, Yunara is very, very strong right now. We were kind of, arguing with Ryan, like, hey, man, you probably shouldn't be picking Misfortune in this spot. He's got a much better opportunity to be able to take over and assert himself here in game number 2. But it's the Ryze Wukong very quick answer on the other side. This is a staple WE mid-jungle duo from last year. They were spamming these two throughout most of 2025. This is very much their comfort, and both of these champions are also very highly prioritized by ThunderTalk. So it's a really nice takeaway here for WE.
Monki secures the monkey. We're already in a good spot for WE. We're on brand for game 2 and trying to close out this series. Now, ThunderTalk go for the Taliyah first. The fact that they were hovering the Junhao and the Vi, both are strong jungle picks that can easily enable and facilitate that full spell rotation and play on side lanes, roaming with the Weaver's Wall. I can understand that that is probably the game plan that ThunderTalk are thinking about if they want to snowball Ryan and give him a lot more love than he received in game 1.
That's exactly it, is when you draft something like Yunara, you want to make the early game as easy as possible for the Yunara, and Vi Taliyah does just that. The skirmish ability, the power that's able to be generated basically at any time on the map can really enable the Yunara to either have an aggressive early game where she can generate gold, or be a bit more passive and kind of bridge that gap and create elsewhere on the map. We can see WE kind of recognizing that that is the idea that ThunderTalk want to go for, and they're going for something that can stay a little bit more passive. Still can skirmish with the Sion, but with things like Wukong and Ryze and Sion, your team fight is definitely the direction that you're looking at for WE, which is, of course, the antithesis of what we're seeing with mid-jungle out of ThunderTalk.
And the nice thing about locking in Sion off of seeing these 3 champions, they're effectively, for extended team fights, kind of low damage against giant meat bulkers, right? Where Yunara, I'm not saying that she can't kill tanks, but it does take a while. She's not a Vayne. She's not someone that has like a built-in Blade of the Ruin King passive, or someone that is able to just shred tank health bars. And Taliyah, until she gets access to something like a Liandry's Torment, and she's getting a lot of ability haste and a lot of those spell rotations, this Sion is going to be staying alive for a while. So now ThunderTalk for Keshi, I imagine they are pressed to say either we need just as strong of a front line so that we have some time to buy space for our backliners, or we need to find a way to kill this Sion in the side lane.
Yeah, don't be surprised to see a very aggressive pick come out from Keshi here. It really does feel like they want to index towards fighting on the top side as much as possible in this game. We're seeing some bans kind of come out to counteract that. The Gwen and the Rek'Sai, two of the more obvious options that would be answers to the Sion here, especially the Gwen, that I think would pair incredibly well with what they have available. But it's bot lane bans coming out on the other side. The Yunara struggles to be able to contain a lot of this either 2v2 dominance or, wave push that the Sivir can offer. So you want to take that away as efficiently as possible. I would imagine that counter pick is going to be saved here for topside. We will see how it ends up. Sorry, not top side. Even I get confused with the two sides of the red-blue side every once in a while, but it is going to be the Corki lock-in for about 80 carry coming in is no surprise, and I think the Corki makes a lot of sense for the comp that they have established, playing that front to back.
Gives you a little bit of poke with those rockets, but also a way to potentially shred any mid-range targets when you get in range with that Gatling gun. And the nice thing is that Wukong and Ryze will be able to supply a solid amount of damage into a fairly squishy composition from ThunderTalk. Alistar, nice thing about this guy is that he will become a tank with the power of that ultimate on a budget. ThunderTalk, what is their response though into this Sion?
The Renekton is the thing that stands out to me. It certainly makes the most sense. I called this out before game number 1. It's really a staple pick of Keshi. He played it a ton in the LDL and at Asia Masters when he got the chance, and this feels like that aggressive topside that they're looking for. They want to play around that Taliyah Renekton power spike in the early game, make sure that they can secure as many early objectives as possible and bridge that gap into the Yunara. But you're right, there are a couple picks up here that I think could be pretty scary.
I mean, if you just want to counter directly a lot of the movement abilities here, Poppy makes the most sense. I would be very surprised if this was the case, but I guess the reasoning is you already have Sion as a front line. Wukong can get pretty durable thanks to his Stone Skin passive. WE want to apply for a little bit of extra bot lane pressure by having the power of the Nami to keep Corki topped off in the trades.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what this pick is for. You want to make sure you dominate that 2v2 as much as possible. It's to shut down the Yunara, but I think the big concern here is, can you make that work in the late game? I think if you can play that front to back, Wukong engages with Ryze and Corki on the back line and Sion on the front line with Nami healing coming through could be a big problem for, as you said, this relatively low damage ThunderTalk comp to break through. But that early game is scary. If you can get resources onto the top side, Renekton Vitallia might just be one of the most dangerous top sides you can pick in the game right now.
It's really cool to see that both teams have kind of flipped composition styles from game 1 into game 2, because we acknowledge that Team WE had the beatdown for their setup and trying to get ahead early, and it was all about trying to stay alive and scale for ThunderTalk Gaming. Now it's the complete different side of things. WE have a lot of powerful scaling. ThunderTalk Gaming want to try and use those level 6 spikes as fast as possible and try and just snowball the game before Team WE get a grip on it.
And if they can snowball, if they can get this out of control, I mean, that is a problem. It's not just, oh, you're enabling a Renekton and a Taliyah. If you can get those fights going your way with Vi and Taliyah and Renekton and that proactivity going, you're enabling a Yunara who can and will shred you throughout the late game with that new ultimate, ability haste as we saw with the ability. So a lot on the line for both of these teams.
I can't tell. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, we got some support for both in there. Yeah. Oh, man, I shouldn't have spoke up. That's on me.
Do it, Kman, because otherwise we run the risk of getting into podcast topics. And look at that. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm holding my breath. He goes in for a headbutt. Does that trigger a pause? Nothing so far. Pause check? Watch check?
I think we're safe. I think we're back.
Poke. All right. We're back.
Summoner's popped.
I like it. WE bot lane already taking good advantage of this Nami setup in maintaining push already early on in the laning phase. Meanwhile, Keshi gonna try to do the same thing with the Renekton pick. The fact that Keshi was having a pretty solid but quiet lane phase for himself in game 1 with the Mbessa into the Yorick. Curious to see if ThunderTalk want to prioritize that top side a little bit more and really drive the wedge open through that side of the map instead of answering back through bot side.
Yeah, this is a pretty big vote of confidence from ThunderTalk, I think, to give him his Renekton here. He's obviously very comfortable on it, but Cube's been playing in the LPL for over half a decade. I mean, this is a very established player at this level, and you are saying, all right, Keshi outplayed him game number 1. He's going to have a chance to do so again here in game number 2. Jungler is just clearing in the expected manner early on here, as the Vi and the Wukong probably going to be on pretty similar paths, but as we talked about, the main goal here for WE in the early game is to make sure that the Corki Nami lane that you drafted specifically to dominate the 2v2 accomplishes its goal.
Alrighty, it's expressed in the health bar advantages right now. Oh boy. Sometimes that can be scary when you're dashing into a fully charged decimating smash, but he gets the advantageous trade anyway. Junhao. Oh, Monki steals it right under Junhao's nose. That's gonna feel bad.
Yeah, that's always a tough sell. You never want to fight too hard over Crab at level 4, but you don't want to give it away for free either, especially when the bot lane is so pushed up and you feel like you could have some river advantage. For now, it's just going to be a trade of those Crabs. Junhao going to be a little bit further behind on his recall, but generally speaking, it's not going to be too impactful. The real question is, how early do you want to start utilizing that Vi's engage power? Because you can make some plays happen pretty early, and we saw from Monki last game that these players are not afraid of some level 3, level 4 action.
Well, the nice thing that Monki has set up for himself is that he started Rapture as his first camp of the game, trying to give himself the maximum optimal rubber band strat for getting to level 6 as soon as possible. That Crab win forces Junhao to stay on the map for the second Crab, so it delays his overall camp clear speed, and it may not matter in the end, but it's the small advantages like that that junglers love to try and optimize for, because if you hit level 6 30 seconds faster than the enemy does, that's a window where, you know, the enemy jungler cannot respond to a gank that you want to make or a play you're going to make with your Cyclone.
Yeah, especially in this game when the junglers have so much agency and so many abilities to, you know, so much ability, I should say, to create on the map. When you have that level advantage, when you have that tempo advantage, things become really difficult to be able to equalize, at least for now. Monki doing a decent job of being able to push that. Junhao, you know, being solid enough to be able to at least stay relevant, though. I don't think either jungler is going to generate as large of a lead as maybe as what we saw in game number 1, where we saw the Malphite definitely a bit ahead after some Monki ganks. For now, Heru is level 6. Karis will be hitting it rather shortly, and the question is, do they want to move around the map with their globals?
Dragon has spawned here at 5 minutes, Kman. Karis already moving to see if he can get some defensive vision around his bottom side river. Monki clearing out the Krugs. Don't think he's going to hit level 6 off of that camp, but he is very, very close to getting access to Cyclone. Might try and maybe poach some XP from this bot lane as he's going to move into the river with Yaoyao. He's going to hide on this Pixel Brush. Maybe wait for Feather to commit. Now he shows up. No Cyclone available, but he's going to get a lot of meaningful damage onto this cow. And Ryan is forced to step back as About gets chunked. Actually,
yeah, Ryan actually
got chunked.
Doing a really nice job of stepping up and punishing that play at least a little bit. Recognizes the Corki can't really do much now that he's out of mana. Junhao is in the area. This could turn into a full-on 3v3. I don't think that necessarily benefits either team, though. It's just going to be the disengage.
Don't believe this crab gives Monki level 6 quite yet. It would be very, very close, though. Junhao not going to be
Karis
able to contest the crab. Karis is in the area as well, but Junhao takes the safe approach. Wow, it is actually enough XP for Monki to hit level 6. So now, here's that window, Kman. Junhao has to hit one of these camps in order to hit level 6. Monki is the strongest member on the Rift at this point in time. Don't think there's going to be an angle, though, where ThunderTalk freely give him a window to exacerbate that pressure.
Yeah, unfortunately for WE, ThunderTalk playing respectful and understanding that they're not necessarily in the best spot to capitalize on this, but it's still a massive tempo shift in favor of WE, because remember, we were talking about this comp for ThunderTalk needing to play aggressive in the early game, and while you're getting some nice trades for Keshi on the top side, I say nice trades, he loses most of his health bar in that exchange. You're so far down in pressure, needing to wait for Junhao to hit that level 6 that you can't actually capitalize in the way that maybe you wanted to. It's just Heru slowly accumulating another lead here in the mid lane, just like he did in game 1.
Game has been very quiet so far. Game 1 was very explosive with the early level 3 gank from Monki, but because he's on the Wukong, has to prioritize a bit more farm and a bit more XP to make sure that he doesn't fall behind. It will be rewarded later on once he does get access to that Trinity Force, and Wukong is one of those champions that just continues to scale and become even more terrifying with each item spike. Feel like the pressure is more on Junhao this time to make things happen now that he has access to the cease and desist for a gank setup.
There's so many tools on the map right now for these players to use if they want to get aggressive. It's all just about making sure you use them right. A bad early engage from ThunderTalk, or, you know, a mistimed fight that goes awry that gives some gold over to the Wukong or the Ryze or even the Corki could be disastrous. So it's all about picking your spots, and those spots have spawned on the map. Grubs are up. It's 8 minutes into the game. Dragon is available as well. In the previous game, we saw a full commit, a flash over the wall from Monki to get that first dragon. Doesn't quite look like we're going to be getting that same kind of aggression, especially because he has a dash this time, but certainly looks like he's in the area for a top lane.
Solo bolo, potentially Keshi gets the first blood. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Kman, it's cool for him to get that gold, but Cube, it's not like he was denied the wave either, and he gets a return kill, but nice for Keshi to at least get some pressure in on the top side.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a nice trade. You need to get some gold on the side of Renekton, and best case scenario, it at least takes them off the map for the start of this dragon, forces them to TP in from base back to top lane, so it is just going to be WE that has full control of this, even with the dive. Monki is going to feel pretty confident to be able to take it. Junhao is going to take 2 of the grubs and back off. They're going to be comfortable with that exchange. I think this makes sense for both teams, neither wanting to overcommit here.
This is is a nice way for Junhao to kind of mask that he
Monki?
went for the grubs. Okay, potential engage onto the Wukong. Cyclone already used from the clone, but the cease and desist right on top of the jungler. Unraveled her. Seismic Shove does not connect, but he gets one more rock in the back of the Monkey's head. About and Yaoyao cannot contest the river anymore. Ryan and Feather back off, and ThunderTalk find a great response in this second game.
Very nice proactive play from ThunderTalk to make that transition as quickly as possible. Heru did not have his ultimate for that exchange, and so really massive for them to be able to make that play. Karis has to flash.
He knew that Junhao was ready to commit a Q flash to connect the displacement for the continued setup. One thing I really like about Junhao not going for all 3 grubs is whenever you go for that objective, if all 3 grubs are taken, it loudly announces to the rest of the Rift that, hey, this objective was just taken. The jungler's here. You have about 15-20 seconds before he gets back over. He only takes 2. It doesn't announce it yet to the rest of the map, and he's able to sneak and make that proactive play, and probably WWE were just not prepared for Vi to be there.
Yeah, they definitely were not. Monki was staying in the area after the dragon take, so nice stuff from ThunderTalk to really control the map well. That's something they were doing in game number 1, but to see them push it even further with a comp that enables it even more is nice. Karis is able to sidestep the shove. No play to be made in the mid lane with Feather making his way back down to the bottom side. One thing to note, there is an egregious CS gap on the bot side here with About and Ryan. This Corki is in a really, really big spot of about 600 gold without a kill, and this Yunara, we were talking about being the late game insurance policy, is having a very, very difficult time surviving.
The power of this Nami has allowed Corki to be even more painful to deal with in the first half of this game. Anytime that he's empowered with the Tidecaller's Blessing, he applies the slow from the Gatling gun, and it just guarantees the rest of his abilities in the Phosphorus Bomb and the Rocket to connect. Barrier was expended by Ryan just to preserve HP. However, Karis has no flash available. Easy Vault Breaker flash combo guarantees the rest of Talia's rotation. ThunderTalk making do on the promise of making sure that Karis does not get to step up for free without his flash.
It's exactly what you need to do. Who cares that our bot lane is super far down? The Yunara is going to be able to team fight no matter what. If we can get some kills onto this Vi Talia duo and more gold onto the top side of the map, we can start to pressure our advantage even more. It's another 1k gold lead for Heru in the mid lane, and Junhao, after taking the first 2 grubs, is going to say, well, if no one wants it, I guess I'll take the 3rd.
And that's going to give ThunderTalk a little bit of advantages or possibilities to try and get these turrets down a little bit quicker if they have the window to siege. Monki is in the area, making sure not to step past the vision point where he could get spotted on that Tribush ward. No flash available for Monki. Control ward. Link gets out the fog, and ThunderTalk go, well, Yaoyao and About were still in lane when that control ward went down, so surely someone else is here. Feather pops the ultimate to cleanse out of the bubble. Heru is here. Seismic Shove off of the knockup from Feather, and Monki is in a world of trouble. Karis has realm warped in, but he has the speed on out with the phase rush movement speed. And that dive has been completely quelled by ThunderTalk.
The dive has taken a turn for the worse in terms of WE here. It's not well executed. Feather plays it just about as well as he can, but it's just a very, very egregious decision to look at where ThunderTalk is at on the map and feel like you can dive that, and even more gold is going into the pocket of members that you do not want to see it on. This is a 2-kill Talia, and now you're starting to get some gold onto the Yunara, who's still a little bit behind, but 2 assists will definitely help a little bit more. The more you can bridge that gap into the late game, the easier this comp is going to be to execute, and for now, you just continue to see that jungle pressure coming through. Junhao's had a great early start to the game. He's got to be able to keep it up.
Yep. Junhao, knowing that he can't necessarily atone for all the early pressure that About and Yaoyao has had solo 2v2 into Ryan and Feather, but he's able to find some moments either through the top side of the map or just being able to punish certain members without flash. Now we have the second dragon of the game spawning in less than 30 seconds here, Kman. Big note, flashes are back up for a majority of carries. Junhao does not have his own flash, so if he ever goes in for a cease and desist and it's the wrong time to engage, there's no way out for that Vi.
Yeah, it's definitely a do-or-die fight for the Vi in many different ways, but I think notably Heru has ultimate available. He's going to be able to create a wall wherever he wants to try to block out and make this as difficult as possible for WE to enter, and the zone control in general from ThunderTalk coming through here. WE able to make their way in, but oh boy.
That was quite the vision ward. I think like 5 wards just died on that spot right there.
That's a lot of gold going into the pockets of those carries. You can't underestimate the value of taking down ward after ward, of course. But Ryan continuing to push into the mid lane here. ThunderTalk should have full control of this dragon. Really, the question is, how much do WE want to commit to trying to take this down? They're on the flank.
Tri-bush ward, though. Monki has not been spotted, but Junhao suspecting that someone was on that pixel brush. So Monki just dashes away thanks to the usage of the clone. Pixel Brush is still warded in favor of WE, and the fact that ThunderTalk know, thanks to the Fey Lights giving full coverage, they cannot sit on top of that ward, and Monki has
Heru
swept all the way around. Oh no! There's a window where Heru doesn't get punished! He walked into darkness, but WE weren't there for the play! But Feather goes in onto 2 for the headbutt pulverized combo, and surely he does go down to about on the way out. ThunderTalk kind of losing their minds a bit over the fog of war.
What a crazy exchange that was, and it's not even over. Dragon has been started by WE, and ThunderTalk do not want to give this. They're teleporting in.
Monkey's going to be forced to use the W back over the Dragon Pit wall. They want to play ball, looking for Yaoyao, and ready to turn this guy into a sushi skewer. Heru picks up his 3rd kill of the game for the Talia, and this is the 2nd dragon of the game now going over to ThunderTalk.
Yeah, Cube's going to get some consolation plates on the top side of the map, but ThunderTalk take a situation that looks like a disaster and turn it, but oh no, Junhao.
He does have flash. Okay. He flashes over to the left side wall, says, my bad, I just wanted to pick up some chicken nuggets. I guess I was not allowed to do that, and his summoner spell has to be used for it.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate little trade there, but a very, very strange exchange around the dragon. I hope we get some replays coming in here because there's a lot to digest in terms of how that broke down.
From Cube.
Oh, no.
We saw this happen in game 1. I mean, he's a Scion. He's a lot tankier than before, but he's got Sunfire and he's got Thornmail, all AD armor items. And you know what? Thankfully, Monki is right there to make sure that he gets to walk out safely. I thought that was going to end in disaster for Cube, but this time he has friends. And wow, it's 4 members from WE actually committed to the top side. Looking for Feather. Cyclone is available. Bubble connects, and he uses the Unchained to make sure that he gets out of that one alive.
I mean, that's a lot of resources committed to trying to kill Feather. Meanwhile, Keshi's just solo taking bot lane tower, gaining a lot of gold for himself. WE will be able to trade it for this top tower, but overall, it's a nice play for ThunderTalk to continue to play the map well. They're up 2.5k gold here at the 17-minute mark. We're getting closer and closer to some major objectives. Keshi's even getting some plates onto the tier 2 on the bot side, so overall, I think ThunderTalk are feeling pretty solid, as long as Junhao doesn't get caught here.
Junhao cues into darkness without a flash. That is bold if I've ever seen it, but ThunderTalk jungler did have reinforcements right behind him, ready to back him up just in case. They reestablish some vision control here on the top side. Baron will not spawn for another 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but Rift Herald still available for the taking, and that is what ThunderTalk will focus their efforts on.
Yeah, this is nearly impossible to contest. It's just going to be very difficult to try and invade this space. This is a free Rift Herald for ThunderTalk. Cube going to try to get as much as he can. Demolish proc on the bot side, but for now it's Karis who's in trouble.
He has a flash, and he has, well, yeah. He did not have enough time to get out of the full damage combo, so no point in trying to burn that summoner spell. Junhao looking for the play. Cease and desist right on top of Monki. He's spinning, trying to win. Uses the clone to get out the second cast of the Cyclone. Monki cannot escape this one this time around, as he was also without a summoner spell. Cube gonna continue to the Sigma grind set of pushing down the 2nd tier turret, but that does force a response from Heru to TP and save it.
Down 50 CS, no problem for Ryan. The Yunara is online, level 11, starting to deal some damage and getting free kills as you see the Herald drop.
Here comes the Choo-Choo Cube train, looking for Feather, but he pops the Unchained for the damage reduction, tries to walk it out. The slow from decimating smash is not enough to keep him in range, but couple ultimates are exchanged at the expense of Cube's engage.
Yeah, the big problem here is that you keep finding these engages, but they're on to the Alistair with ultimate, and it's nearly impossible for you to break him down at this point in the game with the resources you have, with the gold deficit that you have. This is a 4K gold lead for ThunderTalk. You just don't have the damage if you're finding frontline members. Unfortunately, WE are going to have to try and get into a position where they can, start to pick off some of these weaker members of ThunderTalk, like Ryan, that don't have as much gold. That's easier said than done, though, for a comp that really drafted a lot around these 5v5s. It's becoming a lot more difficult to kind of look and see where WE can find their way forward. Cube is still very large and will be difficult to break through if you get those front-to-backs, but you have to initiate them in the first place.
That's right. And for WE, they need to also get into the proper setup first over ThunderTalk, and it's kind of hard to do that when not only they have the beatdown comp and the multi-man single target lockdown on their side, but also when they have the gold lead so that they can freely get into these jungle quadrants without fear that WE is going to be able to stat check them when they face check.
And that becomes more difficult when you're staring down a 3-kill Talia. So we see an exchange on the top side. Karis in trouble again.
Keshi with the beatdown stick of the Renekton. Karis trying to run away. Another Cyclone pass. Keshi tries to flash over, but the Ghost was popped by Karis. And he's going to type CY at in the chat. Shutdown going over to Cube, Sion. But Heru still committing to getting as much gold as possible for the change of play. And he takes out the second tier turret on the bottom side of the map.
It's still a plus gold play for ThunderTalk in the end, which is a crazy thing to say, but that's just the kind of map control that you are afforded with Talia, with Vi. It takes so long to kill the Renekton. 3 people on the top side needed in order to even make it work. Heru, they're looking at Cube.
There's no
he flashes.
For Monki. Cube, no flash available on
Junhao's
this
on the
side,
way.
no unstoppable onslaught. It's going to take a while to take him down, but here comes Junhao with the Black Cleaver and the Armor Shred passive from the Vi. This should surely make short work of the Sion. Hang on. They'll kill him eventually. It takes a while. He's healing off the grass procs. Okay, we finally got there.
Junhao was getting concerned. He was walking
Krugs.
back. Hey, whoa,
He
hey!
just stole my Krugs! Mid laner, please! he let his undead passive take my cats.
Oh my god, what an insane turn of events. And honestly, that was a lot of resources burned on the top side, a lot of time given. Yes, it's a kill onto Heru and Cube is off the map, but Dragon has spawned. ThunderTalk is going to be in position first, but Monki is in the area. Junhao makes his way down. I want to see what kind of setup we're looking at here. Are we giving this over for free? Do we want to contest this? You never really know with Monki. I think the right call is the one they're making, though, which is potentially playing this a tad bit slower than they would have at times last year.
Yep. Still a hard position for WE to fight from. Down 4.5 thousand gold now. It's the 3rd overall Dragon of the game spawning. It's about to be ThunderTalk's 2nd, with no contest coming in from WE's side. They just need to bide their time. Good power spikes coming in, though, for a majority of the carries for WE. Muramana finally stacked up for about. Seraph's Embrace also picked up and stacked up by Karis' Rise. He's about 3 stacks away from that Rod of Ages being at 10, and the Black Cleaver for Monki means that there's even more armor shred to go around on this composition.
Yeah, the problem is finding those engage angles, right? We were talking about the front to back being so important for WE, but when you can't place wards, when you can't step up, when you can't even try and position from neutral, it just becomes so difficult to play around Rise Corki, especially when you don't have an engage support. Like, this is the negative of having something like a Nami in this draft, is you really kind of start to run out of tools a lot quicker than you think you will in a game state like this. And the moment anyone starts to overstep and get themselves into a bad position, well, you've got a Talia there that can, shove around, or the Rylai's procs are going to keep you from running away anyways, and you've got a Renekton that can stun the backline and find flank angles. There are just so many things you have to try and worry about at any given time. This is a difficult game state for WE, but theoretically, if they can get one fight in where they're able to get some gold on priority targets, it can be all right, especially with Baron on the map.
WE desperately trying to maintain control of that line brush, but they lose the control ward in the process. Feather looking for an engage off of the blast cone. Doesn't have enough distance with the jump, so doesn't get in range. Even Keshi was on the right side flank looking for a little sneaky angle there, but doesn't find it in time. WE will back off and give space necessary. Heru clears out that top wave. Gets a chance to maybe shift on over.
Yeah, it's a tough position. You've got a Renekton on the flank. You've got a Vi pressuring out about.
Cease and desist, perfectly timed, but the seismic shove, the bubble misses, and About is trying to hold his ground, but goes down anyway. ThunderTalk now continuing the chase onto Cube, gets caught up, the unstoppable onslaught briefly used just for one knockup, but goes down anyway. ThunderTalk off of one play, take out two, and they set themselves up to rip this Baron.
It's so tough for WE. I was just about to say, there's so much single target lockdown on the side of ThunderTalk, and any of it landing on a priority target is instantly the end of the fight. We saw that there with About getting bursted down. Monkey's going in.
Oh, a quick exhaust though by Feather cuts the damage down the size. Heru is able to get out of harm's way and now is trying to use the spacing tools of his ability kit to make sure that the rest of WE can't get in.
Heru!
Looks for a seismic shove. Yaoyao flashes away. Heru's still alive. Tries to ghost out. Karis picks it up.
Karis?
They're still at 4,000 HP. Wait a minute. This Baron is getting way too tricky. The Baron is shredding all of the armor and resist. Feather tries to knock up Karis to buy space, but runs out of the fight. Monki survives just before Junhao claps him in the back of the head. And now Karis has to make tail and run, but he's got About his back pocket.
They're going in.
He spawned back up. The Realm Warp. About's gonna send it for the play. Junhao's forced to flash away. The Baron is stopped, and WE have bought themselves some time.
Oh my god, for as much as we talk about Heru's aggressiveness being such a positive for generating resources, he plays too close to the edge of danger and he takes too much damage. Karis takes down the Taliyah and the Baron's not done, so it gets completely delayed. It's a big mistake and WE capitalize. It's not enough to completely get them back in the game, but we're going to see how this started all the way back with About getting caught. And this is what I'm talking about with so much single target lockdown coming in from the side of ThunderTalk. If your AD carry gets hit by one ability, the fight is over. Then we transition to this. This is just greed. It's a nice play for Monki. The exhaust coming down from Feather is massive to completely dissuade the engage, but Heru is just too far up. He's zoning a little bit too close to the sun, if you will. He gets rooted, takes too much damage, and Karis is able to take him down. Now you don't have the front line because Feather has also been bursted, and this fight goes in favor of WE. It's ThunderTalk just not playing clinical enough around their objectives. The game is not thrown from there, but it opened the door for a player like Karis, who's been very, very good this split so far, to really keep himself and keep his team in the game.
I have just been completely surprised by his opening play of this first split. It has been a far cry from the average performance we got from Karis in 2025. This could be a year of redemption for this mid laner who has had a lot of criticisms hurled his way, from myself included as well, but I'm ready to eat my words and start glazing this guy if he continues to show up big for WE when they need him most. Now, ThunderTalk trying to look for an engage.
Oh my god,
Heru spotted out by Karis and routed off completely. He's looking for the Realm Warp to chase, cuts off the retreat route from the Dragon Pit side. Rest of ThunderTalk are forced to give ground. Cube looking for the unstoppable onslaught. Ryan dashes way back in time. Cube in the middle of all four members. Can anyone follow up? About tries to go in. He's trying to engage with all the damage that he's got. The Gatling gun shreds Keshi, forces him to flash over the wall. Sartates keeps him alive for now, but Monki with the Cyclone. Junhao looks for a re-engage, but About flashes in, takes out the Krog. ThunderTalk are losing the fight. They're losing the game. WE are able to capitalize big in back-to-back moments and have taken full control of the second game again.
The impossible is becoming a reality. WE is fighting and clawing their way back into this game, and it's pure execution diff. It's Heru, the player who has been pushing the game forward for ThunderTalk, getting caught by Karis. It's Feather not having the tank stats. They finally have found a way to shred this Alistar. And it's great positioning. We're going to see the teleport come in. It's just too aggressive from Heru. He walks right into the rise and he takes his entire health bar. Indifference. The fight is almost impossible from here already. You have 6 of your kills on this Taliyah and she is out of there. Now you're getting chased out. Keshi has already burned the ultimate. Ryan has to jump over the wall to avoid the Scion charge. And where is your damage? About, who, let's remember, was 50 CS up in this game, is free hitting the front line. That shred on the Corki is coming through, and it's coming through fast. And even with the engage coming down onto Karis from Junhao, you just don't have the damage. The front to back that we had been preaching is coming through for WE, and it might just lead them to one of the bigger comebacks we've seen so far this year.
Yep, that reaction, completely valid. Just astonished and complete joy that WE have found a way back into this game. Junhao on a massive flank, who's the target he wants to look for. He knows that About has no flash, goes immediately for the Corki. Side by shove connects, a lot of knockouts right into the Corki as well, but Junhao gets blasted by Karis' rise once again. Keshi finally gets the assassination off onto About. He's looking for more kills onto Monki, but a great bubble from Yaoyao keeps him locked down, and Karis has laid waste to the entire ThunderTalk backline, picks up a triple, and completely saves the game and the series for WE.
WE, with their backs up against the wall, with everything pointing against them, managed to find a way to stay on top and to stay pushing this game forward. They're sieging down the inhibitor turret. The inhibitor will fall next. The death timers are too long. The realm warp coming in. This will be an undefeated start to the split. 4-0 for a WE team that is looking to make their name not only in group perseverance, but in the LPL as a whole.
This just might be the year of Karis. You may not like it, but it's a great way to start for the mid laner of WE. Man, I am completely astounded. Now, for what it's worth, we had Team WE favored going into this series. ThunderTalk had a solid early game, and it seemed like Heru and Keshi were propelled and leveraged a lot better than they were in game 1. And so we were expecting, okay, you know what? Maybe this might go the full distance, and WE will probably have a better grasp going into game 3. Karis says, I don't even want to wait for game 3, bro. I am taking control of this game once again, and it's back-to-back picks onto Heru, punishing either the angles that he is taking to look for a flank, or just stepping too far up, trying to create space for the rest of his team. Now, that teleport, I can forgive Heru for, because I don't think they had vision of where Rise was, and so that unfortunately that angle gets punished. But I think this is hindsight 2020, and in the moment reactions, when that catches you off guard, it's hard to think straight. But I imagine there's a possibility where Heru is such an important part of your damage in that fight. He uses the Weaver's Wall, which could have allowed him to reposition back with his team. He uses the Weaver's Wall just to try and cut off the engage from WE. And it doesn't even work because a majority of the damage members just jump over it. So now Heru can't get to his team. He's taking the long walk of shame around the river while his team is just getting railed into their own jungle.
It's just the worst case scenario. It's the Talia nightmare, right? Is that you walk into a damage dealer that can just burst you down instantly without any of your mobility or escape tools available to you. And obviously Heru, he's going to get a lot of flack, I think, for the way that game ended, for the positioning around the Baron fight that ended up really costing them that Baron, and then of course the teleport. But he was a big reason that team was in the game in the first place. He had a ton of resources and was really utilizing them well in the early game. It just comes down to execution, something we were worried about, from a team that has, less LPL experience than WE on the other side. The veterans came through here today, and we definitely saw that experience difference at the end.
Sometimes all that matters is late game discipline, which is a shame because there are teams around the world that have become feared for their early games and just do not allow their opponents to get back into the game once they have control. Unfortunately, newer teams or less experienced teams don't have the discipline right from the get-go necessary to be able to maintain that control. And it's those small windows where you think, well, guys, we have 5,000 gold ahead. We just win every single fight. You all have to always think through what your enemy win conditions are, no matter what game state you're in. And unfortunately, those are the moments where if you are caught slipping. I didn't expect Team WE to be the type of team coming into 2026 to be able to punish that well, but man, 2026 is about to be a year of new things all around, Kman.
Well, and it's certainly a new look for WE, not just in terms of playstyle, but the way that they got there. We've been hyping up players like Karis, but About was up 50, 60 CS in that game on the Corki, was dominating the laning phase, and he was shredding through in the back half of that game. That final engage in the mid lane, they pump everything into trying to kill that Corki, and he survives forever in the exchange. Part of that is, of course, because of Yaoyao's Nami, which ended up really working out for this team in the late game, but it's every piece of this team, and ironically enough, it's still not really Monki. He still had a lot of moments in this game where he was out-pressured. This team has a ceiling that they have yet to reach where everything is clicking at the same time, and we're already seeing them, be able to overcome these 4K gold deficits that most teams would really struggle in.
The fact that Monki at a point in Split 2 and Split 3 was contesting top 3 jungler in his role for the league. Contesting, not guaranteed, contesting. Before people were like, I'm sorry, there's still Tarzan and it's just, I get it. And don't get me wrong. There's a lot of very amazing junglers in this league, which makes the competition very, very tough. I still think at his peak for WE, Monki was in that conversation. Now, the opening of 2026 and Demacia Cup hasn't been that form. The Trundle game was a little bit like peak 2025 for Monki, but this one was a lot tougher because Junhao, like you said, had a fantastic early game on the Vi, found many ways to shut down any potential look for a snowball from this Wukong, but he had Karis to bail him out. And if Karis doesn't get player of the game and or player of the series, I might crash out. Low key.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Karis was the best player on the Rift here today, and I don't think it was particularly close. I think he was the main star for WE, and you could say the same thing about their series previously against EDG as well. He was the one finding the Akali and Azir flank angles that we talked about on the pre-show. He was the one really pushing the game forward. And to your point about Monki as well, like, yeah, he's not playing great right now. I do my player rankings for every role at the beginning of the year. I had him as the number 4 jungler heading into this year. If you're getting that, if that's the kind of player that you're starting to get for WE, and Karis is breaking out, and About is playing up to standard, and Yaoyao's playing these enchanters and really making it work in the late game. Even Cube on the top side was relatively stable, was able to trade a kill early on. Like, that is a team that's not just like, oh, you're good for group perseverance. That's a team that can look to start competing, like, for top, 4 or 5 with some of the more contentious teams in Group Ascent.
WE 4-0 to start off their group perseverance run. Definitely not what I was expecting going into their first 2 matches of our opening week here for Split 1 of LPL, but props to them, and really excited to see if they can continue that momentum going forward, because I'm still very committed to the idea that top esports are very much in danger of losing their first best of 5 in the play-ins for Knights Rivals. Now, they probably still will have a solid shot in getting into playoffs, because the group Nirvana team or the other group Perseverance team that they would face if they lost the first one should still probably be able to clear. But I'm very serious that whoever is the best team out of group Perseverance has a strong shot at being able to qualify to playoffs off of that first play-in.
It's certainly something to think about and consider. And even if you lose that first series, you get, like, top 2 gives you that extra shot. It gives you the bonus life. And, WE have set themselves up great with a 4-0 start. Remember, game